This is about opening your mind to what you can learn from people who have walked the path or are walking the path, and how necessary it is right here, right now, in this marketplace, in this time in our lives, in this world, to be vulnerable and open to what you need, and other people are there to help you. So we want to talk about, and I don't know if this is going to be 10 things, there's going to be 5 things, there's going to be whatever, but Tim and I are going to both share, and I really want him to share more because he was there live and in person. I was actually on a different experience that was with peak people, only we were the ones that were doing it on Zoom versus being there live. So from what I'm hearing, and I've been on 2 different networking calls this week, we were experiencing the same thing, only with 2 different complete thought processes to start out. One of them was for those of us that did not feel comfortable, either because of medical things or something else was going on. But we had 2 different experiences, and both of them ended up being the same thing, that was about community, and it was about contact and care with each other, and talking about the same things, whether you're in people that were in California, New Mexico, Michigan, or Nebraska. We're all dealing with the same things in our real estate business. So, and it's pulling the same kind of things for us personally that we need to talk about. So Tim just disappeared. So we want to talk about what things we can glean from other people. And I'm really interested in what kind of networking groups the rest of you are involved in, and what you actually, I know that kind of the intent to begin with a network group is to network, to get people that are in your community that you can refer to, that they can refer to you, and to learn from. But really, what are you doing in those networking groups, and what are you getting out of them as well? So Tim, if you want to give it a start, I think let's just go with that, and then we will seriously, I want you guys to interact, raise your hand, throw something into the chat, we'll call on you. And there's still several people without cameras on. So we really appreciate it if you put your phones down, or put them on hold, and just give yourself this hour of conversation. There is nothing that can't be held for now 55 minutes. So if you just would do that, we'd really appreciate it. So.
Well, I'm happy.
Go ahead.
I'm happy to help kick off and kind of talk about my experience with the peak experience. I am going to tell you really quick right now. My team is in the other room getting headshots done, and in a moment, I'm going to have to step out to get my headshot done really fast. So I'll make it go fast, and I'll let you talk when I'm out there. So, okay. So the peak experience, this is a Buffini thing, now we're not coming to you to talk about the wonders of Buffini. We love Brian Buffini, but this isn't about that. This is about just our experiences. I do go to this peak experience every year. Wasn't able to go last year for obvious reasons. And I absolutely love it. It's a really amazing conference. It's all talking, it's helping you understand yourself much better than you already do. The peak experience really is less about real estate and more about understanding yourself, to be honest. So now you guys didn't pay to go to the experience, so I'm not gonna give you an entire breakdown of the peak experience. But what I am gonna do is just kind of talk a little bit about my takeaways and the things that I really felt were very strong and that I was really excited about. So I pretty much pulled 5 things out of this to talk about. The first thing we talked about is hindsight 2020. And that was what happened in 2020, what happened to all of us, how did we experience it? And then he put us through this exercise where we sat down and we wrote out all the things we learned and about ourselves and about our community in 2020. For example, and I'm not going to do this exercise with you. I'm just going to talk to you about it. We talked in depth about, or we thought in depth about, what did we learn from the 2020 experience? What were our wins and losses? Because not everybody is doing so wonderful Some people are doing really great, some people aren't. What did you learn about yourself? Specifically, like what kind of new habits did you take on in 2020, good and bad? And then what new habits have you developed? That was really a big one. He wants to think about the good things that came from COVID for you professionally, and what good habits. I mean, we already know now. Look at what we're doing now. Zoom. This, 2 years ago, many of us had heard of Zoom but never used it, and now it's become an absolute daily part of our lives. Now, I know a lot of us are tired of Zoom, but it is still here to stay in various forms. But the one thing that really, the thinker that he got is, what would you, if you could go back and tell yourself something, some advice, March 1st, 2020, what would that be? And he actually, put on the soft music. He made us really, really sit and think about what are the good things that have happened in the last year, and how can we learn from those things? And of course, you can do this kind of exercise after any major thing happened, but it was a really great exercise. I liked really digging down deep into what have I learned, and I was able to pull some really amazing things out of that. A lot of major accomplishments that have happened. So after we got done talking in depth about what we've learned in 2020, then we started getting to know ourselves. And this is an exercise where he really broke us down on getting to understand yourself, who you are, and how you operate. Sorry. So for example, we took some time to write out, and I'm leading up to something, by the way. What part of the business did I love the most? What part of this business do I love the most? Not just off the cuff. He made us really sit and think it through. What aspects of the business am I extraordinarily good at? And then lastly, what activities do I get paid the most for? Ironically, these are kind of things that I've been working on myself over the last couple of years. I've learned that I'm really good on listing appointments. I'm really good at getting the listing. I'm really good at making my sellers feel very comfortable. They're in very tense situations. There's a reason when I go into a listing appointment, I almost always get the listing. It's because I'm able to be very in tune with the seller and their emotions and what they're going through. And then I'm able to help them through that. And so that was really a really big example. Sorry, I want to make sure I'm getting off track here. He really helped us learn about ourselves. I'm going to share my screen in a moment. Carole, can you make me a host?
Sorry, I forgot to do that, but yes, I can.
I just typed up a few things. I'm going to share my screen for just a moment. Come on.
I'm making you the host, so.
Okay. Here we are. I just typed up a few things, so come on. So this isn't anything formal, so I just put this up. What part of the business do I love the most? What aspects of the business am I extraordinarily good at? And what activities do I get paid most for? Is my screen shared?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So then, and again, we're going somewhere. Then we started talking about our top characteristics. You see here. So my top characteristic traits. And I am going to take a moment just to let you guys look at this list here, and then just write out on a piece of paper. I'm not going to make you come back and repeat any of this. I'm not going to put any of you on the spot. But just looking at this list, write out 3 items that you think are 3 of your top characteristics. I'm going to give you just a minute to look that over, because then I'm going to scroll down.
What were the 3 right before this, Tim?
What part of the business do I love the most? What aspects of the business am I extraordinarily good at? And what activities do I get paid for the most?
Thank you.
I'm going to scroll back down. So I had realized a couple of years ago that my time is best spent face-to-face with my clients or face-to-face with agents, either us, you guys, the agents at our company, or if I'm recruiting an agent. And coincidentally, that's also where my time is best served and where I make the most money. And I have been able to, over the last 2 years, create a team around it. So now my team, I only do the things that I really want to do and that I'm really good at. And my team deals with all the other things, all the other issues. So then, after I got my top characteristic traits, then we looked at gifts of the heart. Everybody has true, honest gifts of the heart. So here, this is on the screen as well. I would recommend you take a moment and write down your 3 gifts of the heart. Again, I'm not going to have you repeat this to anybody, so this is perfectly private. Love, peace, kindness, faithfulness, self-control, joy, patience, goodness, and gentleness. It was a really good exercise to talk about what are your gifts of the heart. See, the thing about this Buffini event, we don't talk about real estate much. We talk about who you are as a person and how you interact with your clients. So something great comes from this. And the last part here is gifts of the spirit. So I'll let you read this and then write down your 3 as well. Administration helps, have a heart to serve. Craftsmanship, you're a planner or a builder. Hospitality, we create and welcome environment. Discernment. I'll leave this on the screen for a moment, but I'll keep talking. So basically, we went through this exercise and we found the things that are the most important to you and how you operate. And the whole goal of this event was understanding yourself as best as you possibly can. Buffini Company has what they call a heritage profile. Some of you have been in the room, have done a heritage profile, and some of you haven't. The heritage profile really helps you understand who you are and what your best attributes are. My number 1 attribute is a firefighter. I put out fires. When somebody comes to me with problems, I'm able to help them solve their problems and help them feel good at it. As you can imagine, Carole is a gardener. She's done an amazing job of gardening, and she's created ATAs in all of our classes, so on and so forth. So really, by the time we got done leaving this conference, we all felt like we had a better feel for who we are, how we interact with our clients, and how important it is. Ironically, as I was leaving the conference and I was standing under the portico waiting for my Uber to come, I'm going to stop sharing now. I'm going to go back to this screen. I got a call from a client with a very, very major problem. Major. Very upsetting. And I'm not going to go into the details of the problem, but it wasn't a problem about me. It was a problem about her. It was a problem about stuff that she's going through. And she was taking it out on me in a way that I've never experienced before. But I was able to literally, even though it was upsetting, I was able to stop and pay attention to what I had just learned. What are my best attributes? Why am I here? The reality is I'm the calming force in this person's life. This person is going through some very large emotional things. And all I'm here to do is to support her, help her, guide her, show her that I care. And yes, I will, Laura, in just a few minutes. And just show her that I care. And we're getting through the problem. And it's ironic, this isn't my only problem. I've been talking at these ATAs and some of these mentor classes lately about how our buyers aren't just emotional right now, our sellers are emotional as well. Everybody is really, really emotional. The stress that I'm dealing with right now are almost all sellers who are going through their own major problem. And the more I understand myself and what my attributes are and how I can help somebody, the better servant I am to this person. So I'm going to leave that part there, but I would challenge any of you who've never had a heritage profile done, which is part of the Buffini Company. Those are amazing things to put together. You really can get a good idea and understanding of who you are by having a heritage profile. Who else in the room has had a heritage profile? I know Jay Haining has. You have, right, Jay? Yeah. Anybody else have had a heritage profile? No. They're pretty incredible. Carole, do you want to talk just a moment about yours?
Sure. April Tucker has had a heritage profile done, I know, and Jen Tucker, and several other people that I coach. I've had them have them done because it helps me in coaching as well.
Yeah.
my heritage profile, it was done 19 years ago, and it is so true to who I am and the way that coaching works, with the Buffini Company coaching particularly, and then I utilize this too if I can, is that the coach actually coaches you to your profile. Because if you are somebody who's not, for instance, optimistic person, like that is just not your natural nature to be optimistic, or your experiences through your life have not made you optimistic, that is something that is and this was something we talked about at our conference, is that's something that's a learned skill. And I had never heard it be put that way before, is that optimism is a learned skill. And that if you see things through the lens of optimism, you can be so much more effective for yourself and for your clients. So I am a gardener. That is my major. Tim and I together, when we partnered with the original Good Life group, we had all of our heritage profiles, and everybody on the team, all of their heritage profiles were in the hallway. And whenever we'd have a problem, we'd go out to the profiles, and they're like a disc. If you've ever had a disc profile done before, a strength finder, there's several different modalities of profiles that help you to actually see how you're wired. I mean, basically everybody, all have different DNA, and everybody has a different profile of how that works. So I'm a team builder. Tim, what is yours, a team player?
I'm a team player.
Yeah, so I'm a team builder. Tim's a team player. I am an Olympian, which means that I like to win. And I operate from there. I'm a showman, which means that I'm comfortable, which I really am not, on a screen or on a stage, but I have done that for myself for whatever reasons. And what a coach does is a coach just helps you illuminate those things, accept who you are, and work within those boundaries. And there's, some people can be an outgoing person, or many people feel like they're introverts. And we heard somebody the other day on our new agent call that was talking about their fear of being an introvert, and that would work against them in real estate. Some of the best realtors that I know are introverted kind of people. Believe it or not, I would rather, have like quiet time, and I have my own introverted side, but how working with each other and being, I think what Tim was alluding to was the being transparent. When you go with a group of people and peers who make tons of money or are struggling, and everybody talks about it, you learn things that can help you grow. And Tim, go on with the rest of what you're going to be presenting.
So again, this is all very emotional, and it's all about teaching you how to become a better servant to your clients. Well, then we had a guy there by Bob Bodine. He is an author of a book called The Power of Who, and it's all about how you already know the people you need to know in your life to help take your business and your life to the next level. But it's also, a lot of what he talks about is the power of love. And it's all, when you're a true, honest, fair person, and you love people and you love yourself, you can be a better servant to other people. So I am going to have you guys do an exercise that he had us do. And I'm going to do a very abbreviated version of what he had us do, because for him, it took us like 45 minutes, but I'm going to do this in just a couple of minutes. So what it is, I'm going to have you get out your phones. Yes, I'm asking you to get your phone out during the ATA. This will be the only time. So get your phone out, and I want you to think of somebody that you really care for, somebody that you really, they've helped you a lot in your life. They've helped you a lot in your profession. Somebody that you don't feel like you tell them that enough. Maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a sibling, but preferably, I would love it to be a client or somebody you feel close enough with that you have a good friendship with. Then I want you to text this. Hey, I was just thinking about you. I'm going to wait for you to text this in there. It's only 3 sentences. Hey, I was just thinking about you, and I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate your friendship. Hey, I was just thinking about you, and I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate your friendship. Then text, I love you, and hit send. I know that's going to be uncomfortable for some of you, but do it. Very, very important. Do it. And then when one of you gets a response that I want you to raise your hand and share it with us. Some of the most absolute, incredible, amazing things happen when you tell somebody you love them, especially when you tell a friend you love them, and you really tell them how much you appreciate them. Now, we don't have to tell all of our clients we love them on a regular basis or even at all, but the more that you can make them feel loved, the more that you can make them feel cared for and heard, the more it comes back to you. And we really, it really is, you just want to live a life of happy people that you can impact and improve the lives of people around you. So I'm going to keep moving on. But when any of you get a good response to any of that, just somebody raise their hand, because I would love to at least share one or two of your stories. Okay.
Hey, Tim, Jody wants to know, is a heritage profile something I can access and do online? You want to go ahead and answer that?
Sure. It's something through Buffini and Company. So we can connect you through Buffini and Company. And then they would go through the process of getting your heritage profile. They schedule an appointment with somebody at your at Buffini and Company. They call you, they interview you. It's about an hour-long interview, I think, isn't it, Carole? An hour long, it's pretty long.
Yeah, it's 90 minutes, I think.
And so you go through the whole, everything about it. By the way, your profile never changes. You can go back and take it 10 years later and your results are going to be the same.
Interesting.
But then what they do is they ask you lots of questions, like, how do you respond to this? How do you act to this? It's just deep questions. I took it so long ago, I don't remember what the questions were. And then about a few weeks later, they call you back and they go over the results with you. And they that one might even be an hour and a half.
April recently did it, so let's ask April.
Yeah, April, tell us how you did.
And give us your feedback on that.
You for the heritage profile?
Yeah. How long did it take, the interview?
I think the interview took about an hour, somewhere right in there, maybe 45 minutes.
Okay.
Yep, it was fairly low key. You know, she asked some really great thought-provoking questions. It wasn't anything intimidating, anything like that. Everything was easy enough to answer. Just you had to kind of think about it. And then I want to say it probably took maybe 3 or 4 days to get the results back. And the results were a ton of fun to dissect and to read through. And I think it's well worth everyone doing, because kind of switched my thought patterns about what I thought I was, but maybe what I could grow into, knowing that maybe it's there. So well worth it.
Also, April's partner, Jen Tucker, no relationship, got the heritage profile as well. And then I worked with both of them on how they can lean into each other's strengths and not necessarily weaknesses, but the things that they are not wired for, in order to have a partnership and to work in a team. Even if you're working with, I mean, even for your family, your spouse, your partner, and your kids, it's a pretty amazing document that tells you a lot about, it's okay to not be really good at some things. It's okay, especially if you can lean into somebody else. So I think April and Jen, you guys have used yours well. And it was a very, very interesting pairing of both profiles. You can see what drew you to be partners. So,
and Jay,
Yeah, I got my first response. Who the hell is this, and what have you done with my friend? But then it followed up, but seriously, I love you too, and I'm so happy you're my friend. Hashtag friends forever. So yeah.
Wow. How sweet.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Thanks for sharing. Has anybody else gotten a response they want to share? Okay. Well, if anybody.
I got one.
Oh, okay, great. Bring it on.
I sent it to my sister and she said, "Did you just take an appreciation seminar? LOL."
Here's the response. The response is, yes, I did. They told us to choose one person to send that to, and you were the person I chose. So it's true.
That's nice.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys have had good results. By the way, if anybody else has any other good responses, please raise their hand and we'll talk. But the reason I'm talking so much about the profile, and also, and we came from the peak experience, really understanding ourselves, I would not be handling my clients as well right now if I didn't understand myself so well. If I didn't understand what these positive attributes are, what my strengths are, and they are helping me do my job on a daily basis. The more you understand yourself, the better you can do. So that leads into section number 4 and he talked a lot about the power of teams. Now, right now, 30% of all realtors in our country are on a team. That's a higher number than we ever expected. He's anticipating in about a year from now, it'll be more like 50% will be on teams. Now, I know everybody has different opinions and different angles on what teams are. One of the problems are teams are kind of, not every team has a purpose or a mission or a style. Sometimes people just have a team because you have a team leader who does a really good job, and then poof, they have a team around them. But things about teams are changing, and they're changing very, very fast. Right now, 73% of all teams are 2 to 5 people. So they're small teams. 14% are 6 to 9 people. 9% are 10 to 20 people. So right now, 9% of teams are 10 to 20 people. That's pretty big. And then 4% of teams are over 21 people. But we're just seeing that that's growing bigger and bigger and bigger. One of the things I forgot, I have my book to reference. Why have a team? That was one question. Why have a team? The reason to have a team is you have complementary skills, you work together, and you want to scale your business or handle surplus leads. That's the main reason for a team. But the reasons teams fail is because they're inconsistent for lead generation. They have the wrong team model or the wrong team economics, and also bad leadership. Not every team leader is necessarily supposed to be a team leader. So it really is kind of understanding teams and how you work together. On that point, that Buffini & Company launched a whole new coaching department that is just for teams. And as part of that, they've also rebranded their referral or their heritage profile, and they're changing the name to Real Strengths. So it's going to be called Real Strengths going forward. Most of the people on my team have actually had their profiles done already. And I had them, Buffini & Company broke it down for me. So Hannah and Rhonda, who are my primary assistants, and I have had meetings with my coach talking about this is how you work together. This is how you don't work well together. This is how, my coach specifically tells me, Tim, Rhonda needs to be rewarded in this way. And Hannah needs to be rewarded in this way. And this is how you talk to them. This is how you tell them if there's a problem. And it's just brilliant. It's brilliant. I don't have the mind for this. They do. They've already put this together. So I signed up for the team coaching. And I will let you all know how that goes. So I say I signed up for the team coaching. I say I signed up for the team to coach. So they're coaching once a month. I have a one-on-one meeting with the coach. And then twice a month, we have team meetings for everybody. With the whole team. So I have every intention of making my team more well-oiled every day, which is my goal. The last thing I want to talk about is, and Brian Buffini always talks about the future of real estate. So once a year, he does this thing called bold predictions. And he boldly talks about what's up and coming for real estate. And he did kind of touch on that a little bit right now at our peak event. And I thought it was some stuff I should share with you. The first, and a lot of you may have already heard this, we are not in a bubble. This is not a bubble. It is not going to crash. What's happening is true, real demand. In 2008, when the market crashed, 40% of the sales out there across the country were second homes or investment homes. Also, the average person put 3% down on a home in 2008. In 2021, the bulk of this demand is home buyers. It's this young millennial generation. There are 110 million of them buying homes later in life than the generations before them, but they're also putting more money down than any generation. The average home countrywide, the average down payment is 20%. That is huge. That's one of the reasons we're not in a bubble. We're seeing more cash infused in real estate than ever before. What he did predict, which is what I've been saying, and because I've heard it from him, is that when we get to about the fall or winter of this year, we are going to see things starting to get better. We are going to see lumber prices coming down. We're going to see other prices coming down. We're going to see interest rates rising, which of course lowers the buyer pool. We're going to see forbearances wearing off, foreclosures that should have happened starting to kick in. He is expecting by fall of this year, maybe winter of this year, that we will still be in a strong seller's market, but it'll be more like 2019 numbers. And I don't mean prices, numbers, just that it'll be a little less pressure on the buyers and the agents. And he expects us to have this inventory shortage for at least 5 to 7 years. And he has been saying that for several years. And that is because we stopped, in 2008, a lot of builders just stopped or went out of business. And even now, last year, the year before, we were building new construction homes at a lowest rate we've ever seen. So they're picking up as fast as they possibly can. Obviously, they're struggling with the demand and the prices, but things are going to get better. So when you hear buyers or sellers or agents say, oh my gosh, the market's going to crash, and I'll wait till the market crashes when I can get a good deal on a house, that's not going to happen. It will get easier, but it's not going to crash. And that's my takeaway, Carole. So my takeaway from all that.
Wow, that was, I don't even know what to do with like all that now. So Tim has just shared with you some of the probably the most important points of how to do your own self-evaluation. I think we did pretty much the same thing, only in different places. In the whole of what my experience was, and I'm just going to, instead of saying my experience, his experience, I'm just going to share some of the things that were the most important that came out of the days that I spent. And they were very much the same as what Tim's talking about. It is time, because of what this market has done for all of us, whether it's your best year ever and you're just doing transaction after transaction, or it's a struggle of a year because you're failing in your mind, you're failing because you keep getting these, buyers that are in this pool of so many buyers, and just you're learning how to be a therapist more than anything. So whether those frustrations are there or not, it's time to stop, take a breath, and really take care of you. And that means refining. And refining probably is one of the most important pieces that I think Tim talked about, and that I already had, like in my notes of things that I wanted to talk about, were pretty much the same thing. And one of the biggest questions that I had that we also talked about a lot was, what part of the business do you really love? And I love the questions that Tim broke it down to, is like, what aspects of the business do you really love? What we've seen is that I moderated a panel for the conference that I was in, and there was some super big top agents who would have been at peak as well as myself. And I talked to them mostly about what kind of changes had they made, that they were like kicking and screaming to make changes during 2020, but now they're going to keep them in their business. And some of the things were, of course, it had to do with Zoom, but some of the things was the way that they and we have done the same thing, is like our buyer interviews. We've done more of them on Zoom, because it's more convenient actually for them than we actually even gave them credit for. People really appreciate the attention to their time, and then meeting them at their homes as well if it's listings. But also how people did client parties. I don't know if any of you were part of or did your own client parties last year, but we did the drive-by client parties, the pie party. Many people are keeping those. They're not changing them and having events at places that cost them more money. One of the things that I learned, and I heard a lot of people learned, is, wow, you save a lot of money when you don't travel and you don't go out to restaurants all the time, and when you're not, like just throwing your money here and there to satisfy your mental health. But then at the same time, you have to replace it with something. So community has been really, really, really important. And I think Tim was alluding to that same thing, as the power of the positive relationships with, for me, other agents, having lots of networking with other agents in different marketplaces. I don't know if many of you have relationships. I know Jay, you do, and April, you do. Excuse me, relationships with agents in other places. But sometimes when you find that people are, feeling the same thing that you're feeling, and if you're open to asking, like, what can I do different, or what are you doing, or what's happening for you? Those are the power of those relationships and communities. As I said before, Tim, you were gone, but I had on my list too about what aspects of the business do you really love, because we talked about the same exact thing. And there was no like rehearsal of, well, you're going to talk about this, so we're going to talk about this. It was two different mindsets completely, but it just goes to show you that we're all kind of in that same place. The one thing that I think was a real aha, and is that because so much of our time has been taken up with, it's 10 times as hard to get somebody in contract as it was before. You do a lot more therapy work with sellers than you did before. It's not so slam dunk for a seller. And the one challenge, and I put this question to all of you too, if you felt this, is, I think a lot of what we lean on is being the trusted advisor to our clients. And we push that, we're ethical, and we'll tell you the truth, and we will make sure we protect you and keep you safe. And a lot of what we're seeing and doing in contracts, in purchase agreements, challenge that feeling for us, like, oh my God, is this real? Am I really helping them make the best decision when they're waiving inspections and paying more than the price should be, even escalated, and the kinds of things that we're doing. So we had great conversations about that. And some of the results were like just telling the truth, giving all the options, making certain that people understand, and slowing the pace down, helping people to take a breath was probably the most powerful. Is just like being okay with just saying, okay, let's everybody just take a breath, and let's really look at what we're doing here. And Ben Schmale was the teacher yesterday on our mentor class, and he spoke about, he had some incredible words. I wish I had him, or I wish he was on this call. He has some incredible words of how he speaks to the risks that people within, that he represents as sellers, how he talks to them about the risk. And we also had an extensive conversation about measuring the risk tolerance of your client. One of our speakers was a guy named Chris Anthony, who is from Colorado, and he is I don't know what kind of skier you'd call him, but he jumps out of helicopters into avalanches and tries to beat the avalanche down the hill. That severe, what is it? What's the name for people that do things like that? Nutso. And he is a teacher and a trainer, and he talked about having to measure the risk tolerance of the people who wanted to do those things. And I think it coordinates very well with the position that we're put in, as to, I think we also have to do that with our clients, is what kind of risk tolerance level are they able to handle. I've had to say no to several clients this year that when I have explained to them what the market looks like, that everything about them was afraid, everything. And I know it, even if we got in the middle of the fury and they got an accepted offer, that something would blow up down the road. And I think you absolutely have to know that whether somebody can handle the risk, not just of winning the offer, but getting all the way through. Because as soon as they get the house, then everybody they know, how much did you pay for that house? You didn't get an inspection? So there's a group think. This was another one of the points that I wanted to make. And one of my things is there's a group think going on. And as agents, we can't get caught up in the group think, because then we stop using the most powerful skill that we have, which is utilizing our intuition. And that comes with the same thing that Tim was talking about in the book that they read, was The Power of Who. I read that book as well. It's amazing when you realize that everything you need is right in front of you. Yeah. So that's my next thing, is that making your world smaller, only deeper. That inch wide, mile deep philosophy is the only way that we're going to survive. How many years did you say, Tim? 5 to 7 years. This market's going to keep on. If you keep on growing, and you don't, as a growing agent or as a team leader, if you don't start pulling yourself up, doing the things that you love, or aiming to do the things that you love, and being able to realize when it's time to add people that can support the things that you don't do really well, which is the heritage profile, or it's the DISC, or knowing who you are and the things that you do and don't do well. So instead of just setting goals for, I'm going to do 10 million this year, I'm going to do 50 million this year, I'm going to whatever, the goals should be around, I'm going to be able to afford to hire an assistant. I'm going to be able to afford a marketing person. Marketing is the number one. I was on another call this morning, and it was Aaron West, Tim, that was on the call, and he had talked about the order of the way we do business versus the order of, in fact, I wrote this, versus the order of the way that the things we should be focusing on. The way that we do business as in general is we focus on the operations, like how do we operate the business and what are our things that we need to have in place, the systems, and then customer service, where it should be marketing should be number 1, sales should be number 2, customer service number 3, 4 is operations, 5 is systems, 6, if you have a team, being the recruiter, and 7, the leader. And all of those things in that order. And I think Brian must have said something about this to Aaron, because or to all of you guys. But it made so much sense, is that we should be focusing in that direction. So marketing and lead generation are 2 different things. That's another thing.
Can I pop into something?
Yeah.
Just while I'm thinking about it. One interesting thing, they brought on at any Buffini event, he always has a section where they talk about money. And in this time, he introduced something called the 7-figure club. So these are all they all are teams, of course. No, sorry, not all of them. One of them was not a team. But they were talking about the people that are, grossing 7 figures. And they had 5 different either teams or individuals on stage, and they did a panel. The one thing that every single one of those producers said, the dynamic shift that when they went from being a high producing agent to a millionaire, was they hired a full-time marketing person every time. Yeah. Every one of them full-time, in addition to their assistant. So I thought that was interesting.
In addition to their assistant, and in addition to the transaction coordinator, the way that people get messed up is they try to make one person all those things, and don't ever change that as their production gets better. That's that, and you lose people, obviously.
Totally true.
I mean, all you have to do is have somebody have to do EDDMs for about 6 months and they're gone. Along when they have to do that along with everything else. So we had a speaker that just an amazing woman. Her name was Mary Kay Slowalowski, and this woman had been she had suffered for years with agoraphobia, when you can't come out of your house? Agoraphobia, panic attacks, and she's a therapist. She's authored books and seminars, and she's an incredible speaker, and she's probably in her late 70s, and she spoke on optimism and she spoke on hope, and those were like things that were very make hope visible, she said, which I thought was just an incredible statement. Make hope visible. And I think where I related to that was not only personally, but with buyers that you're writing. April, I think you had the record 31 offers. Was that the most you did? How do you make, you can talk and talk and talk until you're blue in the face, but how do you actually make that visible? And I thought about that. I'm still thinking about that. But I would not have that if I was isolating myself into, okay, I'm going to get up, I'm going to eat my breakfast, I'm going to, serve my clients, and then I'm going to go to bed, and I'm going to be tired, and I'm going to feel I have to be interacting with other people and talking to them, so they spark something in me to help me with my growth. So teams of the future, that was another one. Tim, you've already talked about that. Doesn't mean you all have to be on a team, or do you need to have a team? That is probably one of the things I want to emphasize again. Is a big mistake is made when people form teams too soon. There used to be a production number that Brian used to talk about, and I would usually start feeling it if I was coaching somebody who needed to have a team. I can remember, April, when we were coaching at first, and it's time. You need an assistant. You need to, and there's always that resistance, because why? April, what's the resistance about?
I was so scared of the finances and the
and controlling, nobody else can do this the way that I can. Well, maybe I'm not doing it that great anyway. Maybe somebody can actually do it better. Yeah. So those are all points of, and if you ever want to run those questions by like Tim or myself or any one of us, and just say, here's where I am, here's what I'm struggling with. These are the things that I really don't like doing. And maybe you've identified that right now with those questions that Tim asked, like what aspects do you like and what do you hate? If I had to do all of the transactional stuff, I probably would not even be able to be in this business, because I'd probably have screwed up and gotten sued because I would have forgotten something. It's just not my shtick. And from the time 19 years ago when I started in the business, I started on a team that had an assistant. I've never not had an assistant. So I don't have an assistant now. I have a wife who's my team member and does a tremendous amount of the work of our team, and also does it. We have a transaction person. So you got to know what those things are and be willing to give them up even before you think you're financially ready. That's the trick, is even before, when it actually hurts a little bit, but you'd better invest in your business before you just invest in yourself. Take money out of your personal budget to invest in your business, because it is a business that will give you back what you put into it. I want to talk a little bit about, do any of you feel a challenge in your confidence based on what you're advising people to do, particularly with buyers? So I'd like you guys to give some feedback on that. How do you talk to buyers about the risks that they're taking in the offers that they're writing? So who wants to give me some feedback?
I will say before anybody speaks, if any of you want to watch Ben Smale talk about that, that video is already uploaded to our YouTube channel under agents mentoring agents. And that was, I already uploaded that yesterday or this morning.
April, how do you prepare people, your buyer people?
I'm just incredibly honest. I give them a couple of examples about some offers that I've seen come through recently and, what it takes to win that offer. And I lay the examples out before them and I say, hey, listen, guys, I have a buyer, looking around the same price points. And I mean, honestly, this is what our journey has been so far. And this is just kind of very typical for lots of buyers right now in the Omaha Metro. And so, this is what we're writing. This is how those offers are looking. This is how much risk they're willing to take on. And you guys are still not getting these houses. So before you guys really jump into this market, we have to have a very serious conversation about, what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do. And I'm willing to support you 100%. If you need closing costs, all right, we're going to see if we can power through this one together, but I'm going to tell you something, it is not going to be easy. And you are going to probably, more than likely, be really trampled on in this market over and over. But if that is just where it's at and that's what you need, I'm willing to go through that journey with you. So I try to show the risk while still showing the support. And most of the time people can get the picture on it and then form their conclusion on what they want to do.
Okay. Jean, share with us how you prepare buyers or what kind of pushback you get.
You're muted.
I got it finally. Basically, I'm doing the same thing April is, that I'm just being very protective of those clients that need those type of home inspections. And naturally, after they've lost a few, they've kind of conceded to no inspections. But as an agent myself, if a home looks like it is in dire need of some of those types of things, with a clear conscience, I am always pointing out things that could potentially be a problem. The old air conditioners, the old furnaces, deferred maintenance. I've run into a lot of Federal Pacific boxes lately. And, I tell them up front, we can't ask for that in this market. We can't ask for them to replace that. You need to have anywhere from $900 to $1,200, $1,500, in savings to be able to replace that on your own. So, I've written several where, they felt comfortable doing that. So, it's just, I'm really counseling my people that, maybe in this time, if you don't have to make a move, maybe this is the time where you need to actually save more in your savings, because that's what it's taking in this market to obtain a home. So
yeah, good point. And the point about the Ben said in his conversation yesterday is he said the one thing that's really been good out of this is buyers are paying more attention to what major items look like visually, instead of counting on the inspection to talk to them about it. And he prepares them for that. Like Tim said, you can see it on the YouTube channel from the class from yesterday. And I would watch that just to see Ben and the things that he's teaching, because we're letting loose agents that know what they're talking about, and any of you that are tried and true agents, we'd love to have you do some of our mentor classes, help us with those too. And Ben is fantastic with buyer conversation. I want to lead you guys with this, and then I'll let Tim wrap up here. I asked my coach about it 2 weeks ago. I said, God, I'm feeling so bad because I'm just not doing all the lead generation stuff that I was doing, making phone calls and, Popeyes, and, we're having somebody do Popeyes. And I said, I'm kind of feeling like I'm kind of out of touch. I still do all my Facebook stuff and my social media stuff, but not nearly as much of that. And he said, it's okay. It's okay. Where we are right now this is kind of the period of time when you have to switch your priorities, and the switching the priorities. He said, here's your four jobs. And he kiddingly said, number 1, cash checks. Number 2, be in front of sellers and writing listing agreements. Number 3, writing purchase agreements. And number 4 is lead generation. And it was kind of like totally odd, because any of you that have a coach, that lead generation. It's not a, you didn't win the day if you didn't do, and it just kind of restructured my mind to where you're supposed to be right now. And from a gardener's mind, it was like, this is when the harvest, you have to be able to be harvesting what you have put in, time that you've put into to help to generate the things that are coming at you, as well as manage it all. So I think that was a really good aha for me. And the last thing that was an aha, and I'll send this to you guys, is one of the people that was on our, actually was on the panel that I moderated. She talked about how, and she's got a dynamic business in, I think she was one of the Virginia agents, how she has redefined the relationships. You know how you're taught to sort and qualify your relationships, A+, A's, B's, and C's. Every quarter, she goes in and she sorts and re-qualifies her clients, and she takes them from the A+ are the advocates. They're the walking, talking billboards. They're the best of the best, have sent you multiple referral transactions, and you're supposed to connect with them every 2 weeks. And then, so twice a month. The A's are your raving fans. These people love and adore you. They know you, they like you, and they trust you. They're past clients, they're close friends, they're family. They connect. You connect with them every 30 days. And then your B's are your identity. These are the people who know you and like you. They don't necessarily want a realtor as their best friend, which I love that definition. But you connect with them every 60 days. And then your C's are your awareness people, friends of friends. They know you, you know them, casual and or new relationships, and you connect with them every 90 days. I'll send you guys a copy of this because it's done, and she keeps it in front of her. And that helps her to manage her time better, which to me, I like simple, just make it small. So, and speaking of that, next week Tom is going to be talking to us about, many of you have read Acres of Diamonds. It's a little tiny book. And the premise of the book is every single thing you need is right in front of you. And it's a story of a farmer who sold off his land, and because he wanted a better piece of land, and he sold off his land, and he went and bought a better piece of land. And years later, the person who bought that piece of land that he sold originally discovered that the land was over diamond mines. And everything that this guy thought he needed, that he reached for something bigger, was right in front of him, and he just didn't go deep enough into it. So Tom's gonna I've talked him into moderating that conversation next week on ATA. So it should be fantastic. Any of you who would like to be part of that conversation, please jump on. Jean, I'd love to have you on. Any one of you that wants to be part of that conversation, and kind of a panel with Tom about what you're doing with the things that are right in front of you and how we can all get better on it. I think that would be great. So Tim, you want to wrap us up here?
I think we're good. We're running over time. Thank you guys so much. The only thing that I will say that I thought about that as we were talking is that he wasn't pushing that everybody should be on a team, like Carole said. He's more identifying that a lot of people are on teams and how there are different ways to start teams. And he really talks mostly about before you start a team, you should really more partner with some other agent that is not as busy as you, that can take some of your leads, and then you decide whether or not they're a fit. So he just like Carole said, he recommends against just starting a team for the sake of it. You have to do it slowly, you have to do it calculated, and you have to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, kind of like a marriage.
Kind of like a marriage.
Think about it. That's what engagements are about.
Exactly. Well, I think we're good. We ran over. So thank you everybody for coming. This was awesome. And next week is Tom.
Thank you guys. Anybody else, before we go, did anybody else get a response to your text?
That's right. I forgot. No. Okay.
I
Well,
got
challenge.
my daughter said I love you too. She probably thinks I'm happy. Okay. Bye, you guys.
Thanks,
Everybody,
guys.
bye.